Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Friday, December 27th. So what we're going to do tonight, and I'm glad to see you guys back. I actually was kind of itching to do my show tonight because it's been a couple days and I'm just ready. So anyway, let's go over. Now what we're going to be doing tonight is there are a couple Q posts, so we're going to go over those. And then instead of doing two separate videos, I'm going to, because there's only two Q post, so I'm going to go right into the news from there. So we're going to hit on the Q post first. I do have some people to thank, but I'm going to wait until the end to do that, if you don't mind. And that way, people that are tuning in just for the Q posts won't be put off. So there you go. And let's get to it. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. I sure did. I'm just happy to have my mom home from the hospital, and you know, it was a nice Christmas. Anyway, let's get started here. So, the first one is this post from Q, and it is drop 3754 from today, the 27th of December, and Q is alerting us to, or he is bringing this up. It's an old post actually, and it says, imagine what would happen if by law every U.S. congressman, woman, U.S. senator, president, etc. was by U.S. law audited every 1 to 2 years by an independent agency. I think that's a wonderful idea. Imagine what would happen if those audits extended to all family members of such elected officials. Would the Democrats continue to push for foreign aid to other countries versus the homeland? Well, we know what Q has told us about foreign aid, that most of it does not go where it's intended to. There's no tracking, there's no auditing, there's no follow-up, and a lot of it goes into Democrat pockets. So, yeah, would they continue to push for all this foreign aid if they were audited and they couldn't get away with lining their pockets with taxpayer money? That would change, wouldn't it? It would change very quickly. What happens when the kickbacks dry up? M. Waters, that's Maxine Waters, $4 million house. Nancy Pelosi, net worth $150 million. That's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot on, you know, somebody who's making less than $200,000 a year. Now, I'm not sure. Speaker of the House is probably, you know, more than just a congressman or senator or whatever would make, but I don't know. But anyway, she's not making enough to rack up $150 million. And not only that, but she's got a big mansion in California. You know how much that costs. Just living in California alone is extremely expensive. So how does she do it? Well, we know how she does it. Joe Biden, son, brother, net worth, tens of millions. Clinton family, 200 million plus. Pre-election of Bill Clinton, they had less than $1 million. Obama family, 40 million. Pre-election, less than 1 million. Where did all that money come from? Disguised under book deals? Yes, some of it is. With Hillary Clinton and Obama, definitely hidden under book deals. No doubt about it. They gave Obama an insane amount of money for a book deal. So I don't know, but those who take are offered more powerful positions within the party controlled, drain the swamp. And what Q is saying here, we've looked at this before, that those who are prone to corruption, they're offered higher positions within the Democrat Party because they are trustworthy, because they can be blackmailed, right? Because you know. If they don't do what they're told, you know, they're told, well, you know what, we can tell everyone what you've done. So yeah, it makes them more they trust them more if they're corrupt, and they get better and better positions within the party because they are they're controlled and they're blackmailable. So yeah, and Q is saying drain the swamp. I think we're all for that. Now, beneath that, Q has left a link for us, and this link goes over here to this. And this is Michael Cordry. This is his tweet. Obama gave Pearson Publishing a government contract worth $350 million for their work to create Common Core text for his administration's education initiative. Now, we know that Common Core is common garbage. I mean, it's absolutely, it's worse than deplorable. We do know why they brought in Common Core, because they want to dumb down our children, right? I'm glad that I got a good education before all of this garbage came in. I'm glad that I'm a little bit older, because I don't know what hope the kids have today, unless their parents are teaching them some at home. I don't know. But it says a subsidiary of that same publisher gave Obama roughly $65 million for his book deal after he left office. Wouldn't you say that might be a kickback? They give, he gives them $350 million contract, $350 million, and they give Obama a $65 million book deal. I would say that's a kickback. If I was a betting woman, that's what I'd bet on. So it says, U.S. taxpayer, so our money, the U.S. taxpayer's money, goes to the federal government. The federal government, when it was under Hussein, gave the money to Pearson Publishing. Pearson Publishing gives money back to Hussein. Biden, follow the money. Corruption. Q. It's the same thing with all of them. It's not like you can just single out Obama and say, oh, he's the onlyest one. He's the onlyest one that's ever done this. Oh, no, they all do it. And you know what? I would probably include some Republicans. I don't think that all the Republicans are squeaky clean either. So I think we're going to be seeing some of them go down as well. Excuse me for a moment. I got a Keurig for Christmas, one of my gifts, and so I made myself a cup of coffee, and it is delicious. I would share it if I could. All right, now let's come down to the next one, and this is drop 3755. 3755, and it is from today. And I did just check right before I came on to make sure that Q had not posted anything additionally, and he had not. But that doesn't mean, there's still 2 hours to midnight, so he could still post tonight. And if he does, I'll have to catch that up tomorrow, because I'm going to finish up with Q here and go straight into the news. All right, so this is the next drop, and it leads to this. Q put a link here, and it leads to this. And again, this was on Twitter, and it says Pearson CEO to retire, and company will sell remaining Penguin Random House. The London-based educational publisher said Fallon will retire in 2020 once a successor has been appointed, and that is from marketwatch.com. Well, Q is asking us, do you believe in coincidences? Q. Well, no, and this is another CEO retiring that we can add to the list. There's plenty of them that have just retired within the last, since Donald Trump came into office. I think that there is lots happening behind the scenes that we are not privy to. That is what I believe, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go on and we're going to touch on some news items, and that will be it for tonight. I will be back tomorrow night as well, just so that you will know. I am on a regular schedule now. I'm going to be posting regularly, Not sure about New Year's Eve because I'm going to something at the church, but I'll see if I can get it done beforehand for you guys, because I don't want to take any more time out than I already have. All right, let's get into the news. All righty. Exposed. Pelosi Jr. worked in Ukraine with accused fraudster facing prison. I'm shocked. No, I'm not. African diamond mining linked to Pelosi Jr. friend who faces 20 years in prison. This by Patrick Howley. This was December 23rd, so it's a little bit old, but it's not stone cold yet, though. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's son, Paul Pelosi Jr., visited Ukraine in 2017 to meet with government officials in connection to a business initiative. Now, National File has learned from overseas that Pelosi Jr. was in Ukraine representing his business efforts with Asa St. Clair, a close Pelosi friend and self-identified business associate who has been charged by the Department of Justice for wire fraud. Asa St. Clair is under house arrest, facing 20 years in prison. Video evidence proves that Pelosi Jr. was in Ukraine representing his Corporate Governance Initiative, CGI, and promoting his endorsement from the World Sports Alliance, which shared leadership staff with Pelosi Jr.'s company, CGI. The World Sports Alliance was Asa St. Clair's front group that is accused of running a criminal cryptocurrency scam known as IGOBIT, as well as international mining operations, including a diamond-rich, war-torn Central African Republic. Boy, I bet you we're all shocked at this. Well, if you're shocked, then you haven't been paying attention, I guess. Paul Pelosi Jr. traveled to Kiev, Ukraine in July 2017 in his capacity as executive director of the Corporate Governance Initiative, a position that he accepted months earlier in February 2017. Pelosi Jr. said that he was in Ukraine to discuss a youth soccer partnership with the government, then led by former Ukraine President Petro Poroshenko. The American Mirror, which flagged Pelosi Jr.'s appearance in 2017, preserved a clip of Pelosi Jr. on the Ukrainian station following the video's removal from YouTube. And it says, this is from the American Mirror, 2017. What's really going on here? Nancy Pelosi's son in Ukraine to talk about soccer? Yeah, soccer, right. So Pelosi Jr. let it slip he was working in Ukraine with a group called the World Sports Alliance. Today we're here to talk about soccer, Paul Pelosi Jr. said in a television interview in Ukraine. We recently got an endorsement from the World Sports Alliance, and we've spoken with the Ukraine government about collaboration for soccer for young people. Right, soccer for young people. Ukraine has a great history in soccer, and we hope to share in that tradition going forward. When you think about soccer, who do you think of? Ukraine? I don't think so. Who thinks Ukraine soccer? Okay, granted, I'm not a sports enthusiast, but I wouldn't be up there. I would never associate Ukraine soccer. Now, like hockey, Canada, hockey, Russia, Ukraine soccer. Doesn't fit, does it? All right. The World Sports Alliance is a front group run by Paul Pelosi Jr.'s good friend, Asa St. Clair, who served as president of the alliance. Asa St. Clair now faces 20 years in prison for allegedly running a fraudulent cryptocurrency scheme through the World Sports Alliance. Records reveal that Pelosi Jr. and Asa St. Clair were directly working with one another during the period of St. Clair's alleged criminology. And let me guess, Asa St. Clair will go to prison and Paul Pelosi will get nothing. Well, maybe. Who knows what's going to happen, but I really hope that some of these people face justice, because it's absolutely criminal. It is criminal. It's criminal what they've been doing and getting away with it. Asa St. Clair announced his endorsement of Paul Pelosi Jr.'s corporate governance initiative several months before Pelosi Jr.'s Ukraine trip. A press release dated December 27, 2016, announced St. Clair's endorsement of Pelosi Jr.'s company, stating, when asked how he became aware of the corporate governance initiative, Mr. St. Clair went on to say, Paul Pelosi Jr. is a longtime associate, both business and personal, and when I saw him taking a stance on something my organization deems to be a cornerstone of our prosperity, I reached out to him to learn more. Nevertheless, without the trust of the public itself, society will break down. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, when contacted for comment, businessman and activist Paul Pelosi Jr. said, it was in watching independent directors with TATA Starbucks resign for fear of retribution and then to observe others like Nestle Wadia be forced out of companies like Tata Chemicals, even with positive performance evaluations and more than 50% of the independent vote. Not to mention the removal of Chairman Cyrus Mystery from all evidence I've seen was apparently coordinated by director. I don't even know what they're talking about here. Do you? I think the most important part is I have no intention of reading all this stuff. The links are always, I'll upload it to Patreon and the links are there for you to peruse. I think the most important part is to know that Paul Pelosi is a very close business associate of this person and he has been charged with fraud, facing 20 years in prison. So what will happen to Paul Pelosi? We will have to stay tuned for that. But do I want to get into all the ins and outs of this? Not really, and I really don't think you want me to tell you the truth. Nah, I could be wrong, but I'm just saying. All right, so let's go back and see what else we have here. And I found this very interesting and quite disturbing as well. I thought this was so small, very, very small. And I'll tell you what it is. Maybe you've heard this already. Maybe you haven't. CBC deletes Trump from Home Alone 2 broadcast. Now, we all know that Home Alone 2 has a cameo appearance by then Donald Trump, now President Trump. Okay, well, this was when the Home Alone New York or whatever, I can't remember. I've seen all the Home Alones, but it's been a while. And, he was in New York, lost in New York. And, well, who else but Donald Trump? I mean, he is the face of New York. I mean, that's, I don't know. Like, to me, Donald Trump, you think of New York, you think of Donald Trump. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's me. But to delete that scene from a movie that has been done for years and years and years and years and years and years, how small is that? I don't even know another word for it. According to conservative activist Ryan Fournier, the CBC, the state-funded broadcaster, state-funded, I might say. Did I mention that it was state-funded? Yeah, it's like state-funded, in case you didn't know. By the state, funded. Broadcaster of Canada, yeah, that's Canada, that's us. That's right. Has edited out President Trump's iconic cameo from their broadcast of the Christmas movie Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Yeah, the CBC, state-funded broadcast. That's probably why it was cut out, because we know how Trudeau feels about Trump. We know that. He's all smiles and whatever to his face. Yeah. All right, so Ryan Fournier, CBC TV in Canada, has cut Donald Trump's Home Alone 2 cameo out of their broadcast. They're so triggered by him that they had to edit him out of the film. Absolutely pathetic. Yeah. Talk about, like I said, the media here is all owned. You think your media is bad? Ours is worse. It is. There's no free speech in Canada. There's no free speech in the media at all. So, the claim has been verified by American news outlet PJ Media, which reports CBC edited out Donald Trump's cameo from the 1992 movie, and people watching it were quick to report the suspicious omission on social media. Some were outraged, and the snowflakes were thrilled. Well, the snowflakes, it doesn't take much to thrill them. Doesn't take much to have them do a major meltdown either. They're just so emotional about everything. Oh, I don't want to watch that with Donald Trump in it. Ew. You guys are the biggest Bush League journalists of all time, editing out Trump's cameo in Home Alone 2. What kind of state-sponsored bullcrap is that? Well, I'd like to know myself. Makes me pretty sick, to tell you the truth. Oh, please don't start coughing. All right. The deleted scene can be found here. Here's the deleted scene.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
Yeah, so that was it. That's the whole appearance of Trump, but that is too much for the snowflakes, I guess. They had to edit it out. Why? You tell me. Many commentators on social media have expressed that this particular edit was political. No. You think? CBC coverage is highly critical of U.S. President Donald Trump. Oh, yeah. After CBS News, Fox News, and other major U.S. media outlets reported on CBC's excising of Trump from the movie, CBC responded publicly on Twitter. Excuse me. I think what I'm going to do is take one of my Fisherman's Friend so that I don't, cough and disturb everyone. I'm a little disturbed, but excuse me. It's pretty sad that I have to have all these drinks and Fisherman's Friends and everything just to do a broadcast. It's pathetic, really. All right. CBC responds to criticism that short scene featuring Donald Trump was deleted from the movie. Okay, so Home Alone, which aired recently, spokesperson says several cuts made for time. Right. But they just had to take that one out for time. Right. Nobody noticed any other cuts. Everybody noticed that one. So, yeah, they deleted it for time. Yeah, right. Okay. These edits were done in 2014 when we first acquired the film and before Mr. Trump was elected president. Read CBC's statement issued Thursday morning. Okay, well, you know what? Every other time it's aired, people have seen Trump in it, so I think that's a big fat lie. Comicbook.com first reported on the omission, and they reached out to CBC for a comment on why Trump was cut from Home Alone 2 broadcast, and the CBC replied, as is often the case with features adapted for television, Home Alone 2 was edited to allow for commercial time within the format. Never noticed it before. Well, I'm in Home Alone 2, and a lot of people mention it every year, especially around Christmas. U.S. President Donald Trump said this Christmas Eve about his cameo in the movie. They say, I just saw you, especially young kids. They say, I just saw you on the movie. They don't see me on television as they do in the movie, but it's been a good movie, and I was a little bit younger, to put it mildly, and it was an honor to do it. So it's an honor to be involved in something like that. You always like to see success, Trump also said. When Prime Minister Justin Trudeau first became PM in 2015, his Liberal Party increased CBC's annual Federation subsidy by $150 million. And it was a quid pro quo. You say what we want, we'll give you $150 million. That's exactly what it was. As PJ Media pointed out in its report, the CBC appears to have first made the cut of Trump's cameo appearance in the movie for the Christmas of 2015, which was the same year Trump started running for president and was being attacked by the media who were claiming he was racist. Right. Yeah, so... And it says, cuts for commercial breaks are usually reserved for scenes that have little to do with the plot. The Trump cameo is exactly that. If the movie was about Kevin being adopted by a real estate magnate during the holidays, that'd be a different story. People need to calm the F down. And here's somebody that says, thanks, CBC, for cutting Donald Trump out of Home Alone 2. They might have been actually not being sarcastic there. They might have been actually thanking them. So anyway, there you go. I don't know. It's just getting wilder and wilder. People sure don't. It's funny because the people that hate Trump really, really hate him. But the people that love him see what he's doing for the country and appreciate him. If they don't like him personally, at least they appreciate the job he's doing. I mean, how can you not? I don't know. But there are some people that really don't. All right, now here's something a little weird. Well, I thought it was a little weird. Maybe you will too, or not. Doctor, Burger King's Impossible Burger has 18 million times more estrogen than a regular Whopper. They say that if you are eating this regularly and you're a man, you will grow breasts. That's what they're saying. Because so much estrogen. Men are not supposed to be getting estrogen in their food. It's ridiculous. And they wonder what's wrong with our men. Feeding them estrogen. What do you expect? A doctor recently broke down the facts behind Burger King's vegan Impossible Burger, discovering that it may not be a healthier option when it comes to caloric or protein intake, and that it has a whopping 18 million times more estrogen than a standard Whopper. Writing for TSLN.com, Dr. James Stengel explains the chemical process used to create Burger King's Impossible Burger and alludes to the possibility that the engineered vegetable burger may be less healthy than a regular Whopper. Stengel starts by, well, you know what? Real food is always healthier than fake food. And I don't know if a Whopper, I wouldn't consider a Whopper real food either, but hey. Stengel starts by noting that the Impossible Burger clocks in at 630 calories. Holy mackerel! 630 calories. That's like half my calories for the day. Mostly from the added oils compared to the original Whopper's 660. Oh, Whoppers, that's a lot of calories. So, about 5% less calories. This is not a huge improvement, wrote Stengel. Stengel goes on to explain that the Impossible Burger's protein, though seemingly only 3 grams lower than the regular Whopper, is not equal to animal protein. The Impossible Whopper has 25 grams of protein. The Whopper has 28 grams. Seems pretty equal, only 11% less protein in the Impossible Whopper. However, not all proteins are created equal. There are 20 amino acids, 9 of which are essential, meaning your body cannot make them, so they are required in the diet. Each of those essential amino acids must meet a certain level to make a complete protein profile. If any essential amino acid does not fit or does not hit the required amount, it is said to be rate limiting. As an analogy, picture 9 chains connected in a line. All of the chains need to lift 100 pounds to carry the load. If one chain can only support 50 pounds, it doesn't matter how much the others can support. The 50-pound chain is the rate limiting chain. The doctor goes on to explain the process used to make the Impossible Burger have the look of meat, writing that beef-like appearance of the vegetable-based burger is a product of genetic engineering. According to Stengel, the red appearance of the vegetable patty comes from genetically splicing a soybean and yeast. The bacterial enzyme that binds the nitrogen is damaged by the presence of the oxygen, so the bacterium makes the leghemoglobin to bind oxygen to keep it out of the way, to make enough, whatever that word is, to add to the impossible whopper. Scientists spliced the gene for leghemoglobin, leghemoglobin, that's the word, into yeast. They can grow the yeast easily and separate the hemoglobin and add it to the impossible whopper. So the impossible whopper is technically a genetically modified organism. Finally, the doctor explains the radically high amount of estrogen featured in each burger. The impossible whopper has 44 milligrams of estrogen, and the whopper has 2.5 ng of estrogen. Wrote Stengel. That means an impossible whopper has 18 million times as much estrogen as a regular whopper. He went on to compare the level of estrogen in the impossible burger to soy milk, writing that eating 4 of the vegetable burgers daily would result in a human male growing breasts. How do you like that? That's what every man wants. Breasts. Right. Just 6 glasses of soy milk per day has enough estrogen to grow boobs on a male. Wow. That's the equivalent of eating 4 impossible whoppers per day. You would have to eat 880 pounds of beef from an implanted steer to equal that amount of estrogen in one birth control pill. Wow. In short, the impossible burger is a genetically modified organism filled with calorie-dense oils that make a man grow breasts if eaten in sufficient quantities. You know, heads up, men. Don't be eating that. The standard whopper, of course, is a 1/4 pound of savory flame-grilled beef topped with juicy tomatoes, fresh lettuce, creamy mayonnaise, ketchup, crunchy pickles, and sliced white onions on a soft sesame seed bun, according to Burger King. Yeah, well, I think that Burger King is trying to make it a little bit more appealing than it is. It's actually swill. It is. Okay, so I just thought that you guys might be interested in that. You know, there's all this impossible meat, you know, that's out there now, and just know what you're getting, men. And women, you know, tell your men, your boys, whatever. Because, sorry, I hit the microphone. I hope that wasn't too loud. I'm sure it was. Okay, let's go back now. Now that we can get off the topic of men growing boobs. Because now I'm going to have to try and get that out of my head. I need bleach. Okay, let's look at this now. Here's another interesting story. 85-year-old, longtime Salvation Army bell ringer banned from fundraising outside Nordstrom. Now, this annoys me. This is from December 26th. Annoys me, and I'll tell you why. I don't know of any other religious organization aside from the Salvation Army where what they gather actually goes to people in need. And I'll tell you something. I have a friend. She spent 30 years as an alcoholic. She got saved. She has been sober for 12 years, doing wonderfully. And she actually was homeless. That's how much of an alcoholic she was. She was homeless and she was living under a bridge. And she's got quite the testimony. But anyway, she said that every day she would go to the Salvation Army and they would give her soup and a sandwich. And then they would pack a sandwich for her. They knew that that's all she would have to eat for all day. That's all. And so they would pack her a sandwich to take with her to have for supper. And that kept her going for a long time. And so when she got saved and she got sober, she went to the Salvation Army and she volunteered there. And she said, I want to give back. All those years the Salvation Army was giving to me. And now I want to give back. So she volunteered there. She worked there. Actually, they closed the Salvation Army here. But she volunteered there. Gosh, she'd been volunteering there for probably six years or more until it closed. And so, yeah, and I have a lot of respect for the Salvation Army, a lot. So I think that that's really sad because they really are helping people. But let's look at this. An 85-year-old man who has raised over $100,000 for the Salvation Army has been banned from collecting donations outside of Seattle Nordstrom. The ban comes amid outcry from the left that the Salvation Army isn't pro-LGBT enough. Oh, well, it's not enough that they're helping people. They give out free food. I mean, our local Salvation Army, and I know this because my friend told me that every single dollar that comes in there, like most of it's volunteers in there. They do have a manager that they paid, but everything aside from that went into the community. It went into gift baskets for the needy at Christmas. It went into people in need in the community. Every single cent of that. So I have a great deal of respect for them. Dick Clark has been collecting donations outside the store for 18 years without any problems. This year, however, the retired teacher and principal was met with absolute Grinches. The best thing I like about Thanksgiving is the next day I go to work, Clark said of his efforts to give back. Instead of supporting his noble efforts, Nordstrom informed Clark that he would no longer be allowed to fundraise by their doors. Nordstrom spokeswoman Jennifer Tice Walker did not answer questions about the change, but Clark said he was told in a meeting last week with head of stores Jamie Nordstrom that LGBTQ employees said that the Salvation Army's presence made them uncomfortable. The Seattle Times reports. The disdain for the Christian charity isn't just affecting bell ringers. Just before Christmas, a fleet of Salvation Army vans in Kansas City were sabotaged, leaving them unable to deliver holiday meals and toys for underprivileged children. That is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. There's no call for that at all. They are providing toys for children that normally wouldn't get toys. Here they have a coat drive because it's cold here, and they collect coats for kids and give kids coats so that they have something warm to go to school in and so forth. So this is just absolutely. And what is Christmas without the Salvation Army bell ringers? I mean, you expect to see that at Christmas, right? Anyway, despite the obvious need for this type of charity, the Salvation Army has been under attack in recent months after Democrat presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg was photographed ringing a bell for them, and the woke mob decided that they were bad for being religious. Pete Buttigieg volunteered for the homophobic Salvation Army, a headline in the gay magazine Out read. The left also bullied Chick-fil-A into stopping their donations to the organization. The city of Seattle, which like King County contracts with the Salvation Army to provide homeless shelters, will next month begin an equity audit in response to concerns expressed by the community that the Salvation Army is not a safe place for LGBTQ persons experiencing homelessness. That's not true. They don't ask anybody as far as I know, they don't ask people what their sexual orientation is or what their religion is. They just help people in need. They don't care. If you're in need, they'll help you. So they're saying that it's not a safe place for LGBTQ persons experiencing homelessness, wrote Jason Johnson, acting director of the city's Human Services Department, in a letter to Salvation Army officials in early December. The Seattle Times report continues. So what do you think about that? I found that really hard to believe, to tell you the truth. I really did. I guess because it's a tradition. You're just used to seeing the Salvation Army bell ringers. And you know what? I know there's a lot of organizations out there, like including the Red Cross, that will collect money for needy. It never gets to them. That's not true with the Salvation Army. It's not. Not from what I've experienced. So there you go. All right. Now let's look at this. Why? Because we can. AG Barr hints the prosecutions are coming and the left-wing media is hiding it. Well, of course they're hiding it. What are they going to do? They're in for Some surprises, aren't they? All right, Barr hinting that prosecutions are coming over Spygate, but who's going to hold the left-wing media accountable for their enabling lies? Freedom of the press ought to come with responsibilities. I agree. Opinion. TNS, despite the First Amendment's guaranteed freedom of speech and freedom of the press, there are still legal limitations to both, or on both rather. There are laws against so-called hate speech, libel, and slander. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater, and you cannot falsely accuse someone or lie about a product, unless, of course, you're an elected official or a major left-wing establishment newspaper. Yeah, different rules for them. Excuse me. It's good stuff, but it's terrible for you. All right. So, as Attorney General William Barr hints that there might actually be some prosecutions related to the FBI's bogus investigation of the 2016 Trump campaign, some are suggesting similar scrutiny for the mainstream media that, for years, has pushed one lie after another about President Donald Trump and his administration. But freedom of the press. Got it. But where does freedom and legal liability begin when you're knowingly pushing a false narrative that is doing real harm to society, keeping Americans riled up at each other's throats and on the brink of societal breakdown? Michael Goodwin, writing in the New York Post, notes, thankfully, the accountability fallout from the Russia misconduct has started with Attorney General Bill Barr suggesting possible prosecutions of FBI agents and perhaps others. But what of the media? After all, the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, and the broadcast networks were spectacularly wrong in their coverage. Pulitzers and other journalism prizes lionized some reports that are now as discredited as the Steele dossier, yet the news organizations still protect the secret sources who misled them and act as if they themselves did nothing wrong. One glaring example, the Times reported last May that the FBI sent a female investigator posing as a research assistant to spy on the Trump campaign in 2016. The woman, who called herself Azra Turk, met with George Papadopoulos in a London bar. That's right, I said Papadopoulos. The Times story also says that Turk and other informant Stefan Halper failed to glean any information of value from several meetings with Papadopoulos. That's right, Papadopoulos. But that is not true, according to the Inspector General. He says that of the FBI's most significant inaccuracies and omissions was the failure to tell FISA judges that Papadopoulos, repeatedly denied to Halper and Turk that the campaign was collaborating with Russia or WikiLeaks. Did the Times reporter know about the exculpatory information, or did the FBI sources lie to them? Either way, the paper now knows its May story was wrong on key points, yet it remains uncorrected. Days after the 2016 election, the Times issued an apology of sorts to subscribers for failing to realize that Trump could win. Did Donald Trump's sheer unconventionality lead us and other news outlets to underestimate his support among American voters? The publisher and editor wrote, so now it's time for a second apology, a sincere one, and an honest inquiry into how the paper continues to get the big stories so wrong. Again, these media outlets, every one of them committed to Trump's defeat and removal from office, are seriously dividing our country. The shameless lies have become a domestic security issue. I would agree with that. It's one thing to pontificate and rail about the president in a clearly marked editorial. It's another to purposefully push propaganda disguised as legitimate news. We need some press accountability. We need people to be held legally liable for knowingly publishing false, distorting information. Free press comes with the responsibility to at least try to get the details correct. That's clearly not happening anymore in many of America's newsrooms in the age of President Trump. Ditto for perpetually triggered Democrats who hate the president more than they love a stable, prosperous country. And isn't that true? It is. So let's hope that with AG Barr, and I believe this, I believe it with all my heart, that prosecutions are coming. Left-wing media, they're never going to report it. Nothing's going to change there, I doubt. All right, until they're held accountable, and they should be. All right, let's look at this. You might get a little charge out of this, or not. Okay. Yeah, we haven't bothered Elizabeth Warren for a while, so let's pick on her. Elizabeth Warren's Pow Wow Chow Cherokee recipes were word-for-word copies of famous French chefs' techniques. Yeah. Pow Wow Cherokee Pow Wow Chow Cherokee recipes were, yeah, they were just plagiarized French recipes. Cherokee, French. I could see how you could make that error. No, I can't. No. All right, Massachusetts Democrat Senate candidate Elizabeth Warren is yet again in hot water after new allegations have surfaced that she plagiarized her Cherokee recipes in the book Pow Wow Chow from the New York Times and other publications. Radio talk show host Howie Carr released damning evidence that appears to confirm that Miss Warren's weren't handed down from generation to generation. They were picked up in the newspaper. Mrs. Warren has been under scrutiny since she first claimed Native American heritage, arguing that because her great-great-great-grandmother was Cherokee, she is a member of the community. It doesn't work that way, sunshine. Doesn't work that way. I'm a member of an Indian community because I actually have Indian blood. They check on these things, you know. Massachusetts Democrat, okay, let me see here. Ms. Warren has been under scrutiny since she first claimed Native American heritage, arguing that because, okay, we read that. Let's go down here. Yep. The 1984 cookbook Pow Wow Chow was edited by Ms. Warren's cousin Candy Rousey and is billed as a collection of recipes from the 5 civilized tribes. Right. Ms. Warren's recipes are featured alongside her mother's directions for sugar cake and her 2 children's recipe for peach cobbler. Ms. Warren's recipes include herb tomatoes and a crab with tomato mayonnaise dressing, among other dishes. Yeah, sounds like Cherokee fare. Is this woman on drugs? Seriously. But it appears that at least 3 of the 5 recipes featured in the book were fakes, according to an investigation by Mr. Carr. The 2 recipes for crab with tomato mayonnaise dressing and cold omelets with crab meat appears to be word-for-word copies of a French chef's design. When I was a chef at Le Pavillon, it enjoyed a considerable esteem in America, and the owner, Henry Sewell, had one particular specialty that he would ask to have prepared for his pet customers. The dish was a great favorite of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor and Cole Porter, wrote Chief Pierre Franny in his article syndicated by the New York Times news service on August 22nd, 1979. And here it is, as it appeared in the New York Times, cold omelets with crab meat. Do you really think the Cherokees were eating cold omelets with crab meat? Really? I mean, come on. This woman is like, cuckoo. All right. Oh, and crab with tomato mayonnaise dressing. Yeah, I'm sure the Cherokees were making tomato mayonnaise dressing. Right. Handed down from generation to generation to generation to generation? I don't think so. Tomato mayonnaise dressing? They didn't even have refrigerators. Mrs. Warren lists 10 ingredients for the cold omelet, while Mr. Franny lists only 4, but the preparations of the omelet is nearly identical, with both detailing the use of 7-inch Teflon pan. Heat about 1/2 teaspoon of butter. Okay, well, we don't need the ingredients. Anyway, the only difference in the recipe is that Mr. Franny said the egg mixture should be lightly browned. Childhood, yeah, that's her as a child. Cute kid. A third recipe for herb tomatoes appears to be lifted directly from a recipe in 1959 Better Homes and Garden magazine down to Mrs. Warren's instructions for how to enjoy the dish. Great accompaniment to plain meat and potatoes meal, both Mrs. Warren and the Better Homes author says. Since entering the race for the Senate, numerous investigations have centered around her heritage. In the 1990s, when Harvard Law came under fire for having a poor diversity hiring record and a faculty dominated by white male professors, the school widely publicized Mrs. Warren's alleged Native American roots. In 1996, school paper for the Harvard Crimson quoted a Harvard Law spokesperson, saying that of 71 current law school professors and assistant professors, 11 are women, 5 are black, 1 is Native American, and 1 is Hispanic. But last week, Breitbart.com claimed Mrs. Warren's ancestor, Jonathan Crawford, was a member of the Tennessee militia who rounded up Cherokees from their family homes as part of the Trail of Tears, a stark contrast to Mrs. Warren's claims. Mrs. Warren's camp has not responded to any of the allegations that she has been inflating her ancestry for the benefit of her career. She's a piece of work, I'll tell you. If you ever want to read a very good book, there's a book called Trail of Tears, and it goes through what the Cherokee went through on that Trail of Tears. It is unbelievably heart-wrenching, really. Absolutely awful what they did to them. All right, let's come back here and let's look at this, and that will be it for tonight. Anyway, Yale psychiatrist claims, listen to my cat. You would think that lost its last friend. Now that's pathetic. She's got food, she's got water, she's got a fresh litter box. What more could a cat ask for? I don't know. Jail psychiatrist claims Pelosi can subject Trump to involuntary mental health evaluation. Yeah. Just when you think it can't get any worse. Yale medicine professor of psychiatry, Brandy X. Lee, claims that Speaker Nancy Pelosi has the right to have Trump submit to an involuntary evaluation. Professor Lee of the Yale University School of Medicine also serves as president of the World Mental Health Coalition. She has been a long-standing and outspoken critic of President Donald Trump, providing translations of his communications on her Twitter feed. Lee was also an editor on The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts assess a president. And is part of a movement demanding that the Judiciary Committee bring a panel of mental health experts to join impeachment proceedings. As a co-worker, she has the right to have him submit to an involuntary evaluation, but she has not, Lee told Salon. Anyone can call 911 to report someone who seems dangerous, and family members are the most typical ones to do it. But so can co-workers and even passerbys on the street. Gee. What could go wrong with that? The law dictates who can determine right to treatment or civil commitment, and in all 50 U.S. states, this includes a psychiatrist. She continued, the advantages of a co-worker starting this process is that a court can mandate a mental capacity evaluation before the dangerous person returns to work. Lee also believes that those surrounding Trump may be suffering from a shared psychosis. She said that the severity by which others are affected is what induces me to believe that Trump is sometimes truly paranoid and delusional rather than merely lying. We have created one of the most dangerous periods by first delaying impeachment and allowing his false sense of impunity to swell and then proceeding, Lee warned in the interview. Impeachment is much needed as limit setting, and the House Speaker has done well to set limits on the Senate by delaying the articles. Right, okay. I think some of these psychiatrists need a psychiatrist or deliverance, one or the other. Still, Lee said the country simply cannot ignore the dangers of a president she described as highly unwell, and she is beginning to believe that a mental health hold, which we have tried to avoid, will become inevitable. Right, they are just trying anything at this point, aren't they? They're desperate. They're absolutely desperate. and it is disgusting. I have never seen the likes of this. And if this was to ever succeed in America, if they were ever to succeed in taking out Trump, then that would be it. The country would be, that would be it. It would be. The democracy would be over, really. Because you could never, ever trust that another president, because you would know that they are compromised. Because anybody that the left approves of, they're compromised. All right. So that is that. Now, I do have some people that I would like to thank from the deep, dark bowels of my heart. That doesn't sound too good, does it? All right. From the rose garden of my heart. I don't know. All right. Now, these are coffee donors. Anon, who said, kick up your feet, throw the kitties some treats, and relax. Well, I did that, and I enjoyed it, and so did the cats. Liz from Missouri, Vicky from Pennsylvania, Sharon Fetters. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Lennis, and Ginger from Pennsylvania. Now, my guess is Ginger is a pet, but I don't know. Could be a dog, could be a cat. But from Pennsylvania, they like pets in Pennsylvania. I've heard that. I don't know. I think everybody likes pets. Every single state in the union likes pets. Susan Sinclair. Now, these are all coffee donors, and I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. And I did get some snail mail. I picked up the mail today. Of course, Christmas is a holiday, obviously, and Boxing Day here, the 26th, is a holiday as well, so we didn't have any mail. So today was the first that mail was running for a few days. And I got a card from, she said not to mention her name, so Kay from Pennsylvania. She sent a card, a note, and donation. Thank you very much, Kay. I did not say your name. You could be anybody with the initial K from Pennsylvania. It's a big state. All right. And Joanne B. from UK, she sent a card, a note, and a recipe for watermelon salad. And you know what? I am going to try that. She said that I loved she knew that I loved watermelon, so she sent me this wonderful recipe for a watermelon salad, and I am going to try it because I love me some watermelon. All right, and Joni B. from South Florida, oh my gosh, sent me cat toys. Hang on, I got to show you this. Let me go over here so I can tell that you can see it. Here's all this bag of cat toys. I know it's reflecting there. But it's a great big bag of cat toys, man. And I have waited today to give this to them. I didn't want to give it to them tonight because they would be running and playing with toys and getting into trouble while I was trying to record. And this great big thing of cat treats, which will keep them going for quite a while. And I can't show you the other thing because I'm sitting on it. But she sent, and now I'm confused whether because in the wording of her card, it kind of, I'm not sure if she sent this for me or my mother. So can you clarify that? But I'm sitting on it right now because it's bringing me up a little higher from where I normally sit. And it's so comfortable. It's one of those, I don't know, thingamajiggies. What do you call these? I don't know what you call them. It's a thing that it's like one of them. Yeah. I don't know what you call them. I'm sitting on it. I'll show it to you someday when I'm not sitting on it. All right. So thank you so much, Joni B. I got a laugh out of your gifts. I really did. And this thing is amazing. It's like what do you call them? Orthopedic thing that you can sit on, It's just, it's awesome, man. It's awesome. But now I'm afraid that she might have got it for my mom, and I don't want to give it to my mom. Do I have to? I will. But I won't like it. Okay. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. You guys that are Patreon supporters, you guys that support me via coffee, that send your prayers, your letters, your whatever. I just appreciate it all. And I miss you guys when I take a couple days off. I really do. I don't know how that works, but I do. It's like I feel like I know so many of you. You're leaving comments all the time, and I just feel like I've gotten to know you and love you. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful night. I will be back tomorrow. It's kind of been a slow few news has been a little slow over the holidays, so I'm thinking it's probably going to pick up very soon, and I will stay on top of the Q post for you as well. So now I do look like something the cat dragged in tonight, don't I? I've been babysitting my mother because my stepfather had somewhere he had to be, and my mom can't be left alone because, you know, of her, she just had surgery. So anyway, that's where I've been today, and I can tell that, yeah, I kind of look like I've been, I don't know, out in the back of Beyond doing something. Anyway, all right, that's it. I'm leaving now. I hope you will too. Get some sleep. You need it. You look tired. Not really.